since that could be its own video, let's look at the Xenotype editor. So these are all the xenotypes. These are all the genes that you can have. Yes, you can have an entire population of people with pink hair. The game does not care. You can also modify that here. All of these people do different things. Non-archites. Right. Okay. So what you can do here is we can go over to Xenotype editor and we can actually load those guys in here. So if we wanted to make a baseliner that had other things, we can do that. But we can also see what dirt moles have. Up here we have selected genes. So their wounds heal quickly, they're slow, they have intense UV sensitivity, they're strong in melee, they have gray eyes, gray skin, they're nearsighted, they have dark vision, so with that one they're unaffected, work speed is unaffected by darkness, and they're great at mining. So what this means is they get +8 to mining, and their mining goes up by 1 passion. That's pretty good, if they're, say, undergrounders or something. Then you have genies. Genies are just calm all the time. They don't do social fights. They don't prison break. Their mental breaks aren't violent in nature. They're delicate. So they have the 4th trait of delicate. I think that means that they take extra damage. They also have wimp. So I don't know if you've ever had a character who's a wimp before, but they get sick with anything and they're just incapacitated for the entire time. So they're bald, they're bearded, they have thin bodies, and they have elongated fingers. This is interesting because it gives you extra manipulation. They're poor at planting, poor at raising animals, they're great at crafting, which is fantastic by the way, because you use craft to repair mechanoids. They're awful at social, and they're great at intellectual, so they can research things very quickly. So we have these two things. So these guys, the genies, are probably really good at being mechanators. After that we have hussars. Hussars are the... I think they're like the... that's right, they're the engineered soldiers. So these guys have go juice dependency. Yeah, so if they don't get go juice, they die. Wonderful. So they have super fast wound healing. They can't use psychic powers at all. They're tolerant to cold and heat. Their lungs can deal with toxic stuff pretty easily. They're hyper aggressive, so that means social fight factors 300%. Their mental breaks are always violent, and their prison break interval factor is 40%. Okay, so they take less pain, they're great at shooting, they're great at melee, they're unstoppable, so they don't get staggered at all. They can have Hulk or standard bodies, short hair, red eyes, and they're awful at planting, animals, artistic, and social. So, so 4 of the skills that are actually really useful to your colony, unless they're just cleaning and being a maid and stuff like that. Cleaning and hauling. But yeah, so these guys are your dedicated soldiers. So ideally you would, once you have a go juice production going, you just want lots and lots of huskers. After that we have Neanderthals. Now, huskers were cold tolerant, heat tolerant. Neanderthals are cold tolerant. But I think this is the lesser form of that. No, it's the normal form. Never mind. I don't know why they're gray. Probably because they're like Stone Age or something. Okay, so they have strong immunity. They're slow. Again, cold and hot tolerant. They're aggressive, but not extremely aggressive. They're robust, but not... so they take less damage. That's good. They're kind of dumb. They can have a bunch of different bodies. They have a heavy brow. Reduce pain. They're bad at shooting. They're bad at social. They're bad at intellectual. But, you know, they can hit something in melee, so they can hit stuff for a lot of damage in melee. That's the important thing, right? So these guys are your tanks when you don't have hussars. Hussars are probably better at being tanks. Probably better at killing the enemy. Yeah, this basically just don't take stagger, but they don't take less damage. And yeah, they're better at melee, they're better at hitting, but the Neanderthals, they're better at actually taking damage and dealing more damage on hit. So that's good. The pigskins, these guys, they're immune to a lot of things. They have reduced pain, pig ears, pig voice, the body types. All these cosmetics really don't change. They don't cost anything. Have complexity. They have a strong stomach, robust digestion. So let's see, raw nutrition multiplier. So yeah, they aren't affected by eating raw food. They're immune to food poisoning, but they are nearsighted. They have trotter hands, which reduce manipulation. Pig nose, which doesn't do anything. Non-pig nose or nose. Yeah. They're bad at cooking, which makes perfect sense. Yeah, because they don't need to cook. Then we have the impids. Now, this is where we get our first instance of them having some sort of special ability. So here it's fire spew. They can just, essentially, they have like a little gland. You know, like dragons from, was it Rain of Fire? They had like 2 glands, and then when they sprayed this stuff out, it like would mix and then combust. So that's sort of what these guys have. They have weak immunity, so they get sick really quickly, and they're likely to die from being sick. They don't heal very quickly, they're very fast runners. They're also pessimistic, you know, everything's horrible. They're weak to cold, they're extremely tolerant to heat. They're fire resistant, weak to melee damage. They have horns, and there's like, you know, desert themed hair and skin colors. They're bad at planting and they're bad at farming. So what would these guys do? I mean, you're bad at farming and you're bad at planting. So they would need to, I guess, hunt to get the majority of their food. I guess they can spew fire at things, and that can help them. After that, we have the wasters. Wasters are super immune, so they're not quite immune to everything, but at 150% immunity gain speed, you're kind of immune to most things. They live in total antitoxic lungs, so they're immune to toxic gas. If I remember toxic gas, in heavily polluted areas, the land sort of like belches up toxic gas. They're aggressive, they're ugly. So they have a forced ugly trait, they have a gaunt head, and just some themes here to make them as gray and weird as possible, I guess. They have wake up addiction immunity, so they can just take wake up all the time. They have psyche dependency. So with this, they need to constantly be taking psyche tea, well, some sort of psyche whatever, or else, or they die. They're bad at arts, raising animals, and cooking. So what this means is they probably make toxados, or whatever they're called. Then pollution stimulus, they gain extra stat bonuses when exposed to pollution. So yeah, these are your pollution specific guys who are just there to live in polluted areas. Like, these are the guys who want to live in Chernobyl. You have the Yitikan. These guys are your animal people. So if you're going to go with... These are your furries. So if you're going to go with a animal personhood playthrough, probably go with the Yitikans. So we have Animal War Cry. This basically allows you to charm an animal, so they'll follow you around and fight for you. Potentially really powerful. I don't know if it has a fail chance, but it seems really powerful. But also circumstantial, right? Because this isn't one of the animals that you've tamed, this is you're having a wild animal join your crew temporarily. They don't heal very quickly, they're psychically dull, so I think that's 50% psychic sensitivity. They move faster when they're naked. They're aggressive, they do extra melee damage. They're sleepy, so they probably sleep more. Yeah. They're robust. That means that, if I remember correctly, that means they, take less damage. They have no hair, and everybody can have beards, roar voice, Hulk body, fur skin, fluffy tail. I mean, furry tail, not touch fluffy tail, or whatever it was. They're terrible at mining, and they're great with animals. Okay, well that's good and everything. So what's our other options? As Xenotype, here we have the high mates. The high mates are psychically sensitive, or psi sensitive. Yeah, so they just have more psychic sensitivity, they have psychic bonding. And so, yeah, they have a psychic bond with their romantic partners. They're sanguine, so they're always happy. This is useful because if they're happy, they make these people happy. They are heat weakness, they can't do violence, they have a kind instinct, so they don't go after everyone all the time. They're delicate, so yeah, whatever that is. They're beautiful long hair, they have standard thin bodies, white hair, purple skin, or blue skin, or sheer white skin. They can't have gray hair. As they get older, they don't gray. They have high libido, so they always want to be screwing with their partners. It's what they're good at. And then they're awful at mining, awful at plants, but great at talking to people. These high mates are amazing with their mouths. So then we have the sanguophages, which is what most people are going to be really interested in, aside from the mechanators. Mechanator? I think it is. And that is, these are the vampires. So we have, they're ageless, they age until like 13, and then that's it. They have archaic metabolism, so they can have extra... Yeah, so they can have more complexity, they can have more archaic capsules, and a lot of these just add more to that. Scarless, they can't take skull. They can get scars, but those scars go away. We have hemogenic, so they, if I remember correctly, they use hemogen then, so they need to ingest blood packs. Hemogen drain. Yeah. So this is also something just to balance everything out. If your metabolic efficiency gets above 5, I think, essentially the game won't let you have a metabolic efficiency of worse than, I think it's -5, which means you have to eat twice as much. Blood feeder is really useful because you can bite people to get blood from them, regular vampire style. You can coagulate, so this is where you can just heal people. People get, wounded, so you're just like, no problem, they're healthy now. We have death rest, which is really useful. This is basically, these guys have to do this. And yeah, it's sort of, from what I can gather, it's similar to when dryads go into their healing state, their cocoons. But here you can heal a lot of things very quickly. Now you actually have to death rest though. So if you don't, I think it's like every quadrum or every 2 quadrums, then you'll start suffering some pretty nasty debuffs until you do. We have long jump legs. Is basically just, it's kind of like a jetpack, except you have to use blood to do it. Piercing spines, in case you run into somebody who is really good at melee and they're better at it than you are, well, now you can deal with that. We have super fast wound closing. They're psychically sensitive, they're fast, they're toxic immune, they have mild UV sensitivity. So this isn't they take constant damage, this is they just move more slowly. Because if they took constant damage, this would probably counteract that. So that's probably why Tynan did it this way. They have tender skin, so they take extra damage from fire. A lot of extra damage from fire, 4 times. They are Fyro. They are Fyro. They are Pyrophobic. So, Pyrophobia. They're aggressive, strong melee damage, so they are really good at fighting. They deal extra melee damage. They don't have to sleep as much, so their rate is, they have to sleep 40% as often. They are robust, so they take less damage. They're pretty. They have dark vision, which essentially means they are unaffected by darkness entirely. They're better at melee, they're good at intellectual, and they're good at social. So in a lot of ways, these guys are practically your A-listers. Like, these guys are amazing at what they do. And yeah, they are just all-round amazing at what they do. These are the dudes who show up in melee and just rip people apart. See, yeah. Yeah, so for them to even exist as they are, as Sanguophages, like, Titan had to get rid of a lot of the limitations, so they're kind of a hidden race. But okay, let's look at our options. So we have acid spray, so we can, spray acid at people instead of fire. The animal war call. All what that really does, as I said before, it charms an animal, so it will help you fight. Foam sprays, if you want to be able to put out fires really quickly, you can. We have fire spew as well, so this one is just you spray fire on people. We have these as well, which we just saw. Vampire abilities. We have health, so this is really about immunity here. Weak, strong, and super immunity. We have slow wound healing, fast wound, super fast, and super clotting. So you heal really fast here, and then you stop bleeding very quickly with this. That's really what that boils down to. Over here we have psychics, so we have deaf, dull, sensitive, and super sensitive. Now I believe you can still have hypersensitive as a trait, and then still take that, and you can turn yourself into like a super caster. We have psychic bonding, which is great. It's great, but at the same time, if you die or you get in some way mind control, well, not mind control. If you have a break for whatever reason, your lover or the person you're linked to is probably also going to have that break. We have naked speed, we have fast runners, so yeah, it just forces jogger. And then this one is just move speed versus is basically just naked move speed versus normal move speed. You could probably stack these, and that would work. So if you're going with a nudist playthrough, then the naked speed is probably better. Because, naked, you're a nudist. Over here we have Sanguine Optimist, just the normal mood buffs and debuffs. Beyond that we have our tolerances. So cold super tolerant, really useful. Minimum cold, minimum comfortable is it's like -18. So it's sort of like the Eurasians from that one mod that that one person made. I forget their name, but they're on the Discord. So we have heat weakness, so that's they have a debuff to that. Ooh, wow, that's actually pretty rough. Minimum comfortable temperature is -5.4. I assume you would need to just combine these two, or like these two. But if you did these two, you'd be able to be comfortable in like what, 4 degrees, 4.6 degrees, maybe 3.6. So we have heat tolerant as well. You can also go Oh, I see. Never mind. This is just adding a flat bonus to your upper maximum, your lower minimum. Okay, never mind. We have toxic resistance and toxic immunity. So, as I said, toxic stuff, it comes from pollution. Anti-toxic lungs is just your immunity to toxins, poison gas, stuff like that, toxic gas. Then we have UV sensitivity and intense. So this is one that the vampires have. This is the one that the mole men have. So they just move more slowly and they get breaks more quickly. You can have fire resistant or extra damage from fire and terrified of fire. Then of course we have the, we have the ideas towards violence. Are they calm like the genies? Are they aggressive, hyper aggressive? Do they do extra damage? They have a kind instinct or a kill thirst. Yeah, these are like the... what was it? I think this adds... Yeah, this adds a need to kill. So it's like the fox women who could gain additional tails. I forget what they're called. So very sleepy. They have to sleep a lot. They have sleepy. Then you have never sleep. This one will probably be very popular. To be completely honest. We have these delicate, robust, extra pain and reduced pain. Then we have things about having kids. So you have fertile, sterile, high libido, low libido. If you just want to have as many kids as possible, just make your own version of Baseliner that has high libido and is fertile, and you'll probably be fine. Make sure to give them what is it? Psychic bonding, so that when they're both screwing constantly, they'll be incredibly happy with each other. So we have a staggeringly ugly. Yeah, just forces this. Then we have the cosmetics down here. So the voices, that just changes the sound they make, that pawns make when they take damage, or anything like that. So anything that would cause them to make a sound, those are then replaced with variants. They can have horns of various types. Mostly, this is all just cosmetic. The body type is all cosmetic as well. You can have people who are all of a certain hair type, skin color. Then we have the miscellaneous stuff. So this is stuff where it's like, okay, well, your stomach, immune to food poisoning, can... Yeah, nutrition multiplier, so you get more nutrition per food, I think. You can learn more slowly or more quickly. You can be nearsighted, have dark vision. You can be inbred if you really want. I'm from Texas, so we have tons of jokes about about pretty much everyone around us. Those of you not from America, I think every state just has jokes about every state around it. And they usually go with some in the South. It usually is something about them being inbred. So we have that. It gives you, -2 to your hunger rate. Wait. Wouldn't? Yeah, the negatives. So that means this is a positive. How? I don't understand how that's a positive. I'm very slightly confused. This has to be a typo, right? This has to be something where they screwed up somewhere. Because you would want this to be +2. Because it's a malice. Unless, getting immunity speed at 85% of normal is a buff. Which it isn't. And being a slow learner. I guess what this does is it makes it so that you can choose a lot of the things that give it inbred, right? Let's see, it's low fertility. So we can do that one, and we're at a positive now. And then, like, poor immunity. What would that be? Yeah, there it is. So, feel like that one maybe. A sick grunt. So, yeah, if we do that, then we're at a complexity of, we're at a complexity of 4, but we have essentially 3 points we could spend on whatever we wanted. But okay. I mean, I guess that's a way to make it work. Is that, like, stack? Oh. Nice. Okay, so we have a lot of, little bonuses here. Things that give you malices typically give you, like, things that give you malices give you extra points, and things that give you bonuses typically give you malices to your metabolic efficiency. So that's how they're sort of trying to make everything work. So we have this instability lifespan goes down, cancer rate goes up, immunity speed goes down. Lots of just little things. Okay, well. And then unstoppable is really nice. You don't get staggered, period. Let's see, furry tail is your minimum temperature is even better, and then smooth tail is your manipulation gets higher. You really can't go wrong with having a lot of manipulation. Like, you really can't go wrong with that. Then, of course, we have the aptitudes here. So if I remember, every skill in the game, most likely, aside from maybe child rearing, has a great, strong, poor, and awful. Removes all passion. So if you really want, you could min-max your colonists and just make them amazing at some things and just incredibly awful at others. Now, of course, this doesn't completely offset that, but if I wanted to make a character who was amazing at, say, melee, but awful at, I don't know, something awful at intellectual. Now I'm only spending 1 extra point here, and then I can just keep trading those things off until I get what I need. The things that are better, that make you great, those tend to cost more in complexity. So let's say I wanted him to be great at this, and also great at medicine. Well, now we're at 5, which is actually the limit. And, okay, well, I don't want this to be at -4, so I need to make them awful at other things. So we'll say they're awful at social. I guess that isn't the limit. And let's make them awful at art. So now we sort of, we've sort of gotten to where this is 0 again. But they're great at medicine, they're great at melee. Okay. Is what it is. So if you wanted to, you can game the system that way with genes, and as you get later on in the game, you get new technologies, you can modify these as well. So you can start making people amazing at this or awful at something else. So with this, because you can add a level of passion to something and increase its skill by 8, you can effectively make a pawn into whatever you want, for the most part. If you don't want a pawn to be, to want to shoot, you can just make them terrible at it, and then don't give them shooting weapons. Don't give them the shoot bangs. So we have addictions and immunities. So if you want to use lots of drugs, but you don't want to have say the penalties of that, you can do that. We could also make somebody who is literally dependent on almost everything. Who is dependent on literally everything. And then they just die. But this would mean that you would be able to have so many bonuses to them. This also means that they need like one of each drug. They effectively have a luciferium addiction, but for like all of the drugs. So there's that. But yeah, this would let you have a super character, essentially. You can also just turn off restrictions and do whatever you want. There's no reason to go this far down, by the way. I mean, we can just start taking stuff. Let's see, where do we have to be for it to go above 50%? Yeah, so at +5 metabolic efficiency, you're at half hunger. So how they are balancing this is just with food. If you start off with a character that is metabolically inefficient, that character will eat so much more food than normal characters that they'll potentially eat you out of house and home. Yeah, that seems to work pretty well. I kind of like this system because it lets you make the character that you want to make. So if you want to make a caster character, like you could do that and then just like balance out their metabolic efficiency. That is something you can do. But alright. You could also like put somebody in a desert and then just give them like cold weakness or super cold weakness. No, cold weakness and just they're in a hot desert, so they should be fine. That's why this doesn't cost for it. That's why this doesn't give you much of a boost. If you're going to be playing an undergrounder, you just go with this one, and then take things that benefit them. The thing is, they've already done that. Like, really, if you're going to do that, just play a dirt mole. Should be fine. They don't move very fast, they heal quickly, they aren't affected by darkness really at all. So there's no reason not to. So a lot of the things that you would do are already done. The only thing I would really change would be maybe to give these guys like medical expertise as well. So they're good with social. I want to make them good at, say, intelligence and medical as well. Just so they're like your super dude. Your that one character that everybody makes with prepare carefully. And then you just put your like research bench, prisons, and hospitals all like right next to each other. So this one person can just go around and do this constantly. Also, I noticed that none of the characters are never sleep. So that is something that people will probably work with. Well, we don't have any customs. Is Bunny Kitten? What is that? What the world is this? Okay, anyway. It's when I was just looking at stuff and wondering what is this. Okay, so that's the Xenotype editor. It's really nice. Those are the Xenotypes that are available from the beginning. I don't think you can like... So there are a lot more? There might be more. I'm gonna look real quick, because I think all that's added with toggling this on and off is the archive capsules. I don't think anything else is added. Yeah, so it's just these. Yeah, agelessness, deathlessness, having the great metabolism, all that good stuff. But alright, I think that is the Xenotype builds.